Life doesn't care about fairness. You can be completely honest, and someone will still attack you in the back. You can be the best at what you do, and watch someone with half your talent get promoted instead. That's just how things work. But here's what separates winners from everyone else. They see this truth and use it. They don't complain. They adjust. And that change, that's what we call strategic intelligence. Strategic intelligence isn't something you're born with. It develops when life knocks you down, when you get betrayed, embarrassed, or pushed aside. Most people crumble under that pressure. But you're going to use it as fuel. This is the kind of intelligence that observes quietly, learns constantly, and moves only when the moment is perfect. While everyone else is busy arguing, you're collecting insights. While they're losing their temper, you're running scenarios. While they're drowning in feelings, you're planning 3 steps ahead. Most people are playing a simple game. You're about to learn how to play on an entirely different level. But let me make one thing absolutely clear before we continue. Everything I'm about to share is meant for your protection, not for causing harm. This is about defending yourself in a complicated world, not about becoming someone who hurts innocent people. The whole point is to understand how the game works, not to become the bad guy. Today, you're going to learn about 8 psychological characteristics that separate people who survive from people who get taken advantage of. The ones who lead from the ones who follow. The ones who succeed from the ones who struggle. Now, I want you to type this statement in the comments. I choose to think strategically, not react emotionally. Let's dive into the secrets that powerful people would rather keep hidden. Number 1. Strategic ambiguity. You never show your complete hand. You reveal only what serves your purpose. When people know just part of the picture, they automatically fill in the missing pieces with their own assumptions. And those assumptions, they give you control. Machiavelli put it this way: everyone sees what you look like on the outside. Very few understand who you truly are on the inside. Think about the most fascinating people you've ever met. They never give you their whole story. They leave spaces in their explanations. They respond to questions with other questions. When you want them to go into further detail, they smile knowingly. This isn't dishonesty. This is smart communication. Here's what usually happens when someone asks you something. You feel like you have to give them a complete, detailed answer. You explain why you're doing things, what scares you, what you're planning next. You think you're being genuine and creating trust, but you're actually handing over your advantage. Intelligent people know that keeping some mystery creates influence. When you don't show everything, people get curious. That curiosity turns into interest. Interest becomes respect, and respect leads to real influence. Say someone asks what you're doing this weekend. Most people respond with, "Oh, nothing special. Probably just watching TV at home." That's total transparency, but it's also instantly forgettable. What if instead you said, "I've got something I need to handle," and then switched topics? See the difference? The first response makes you predictable. The second makes you interesting. This doesn't mean being difficult or hiding everything about yourself. It means choosing carefully what you share and when you share it. The most successful people in any field have mastered this approach. They reveal just enough to keep people interested, but never so much that they lose their edge. Your information is your power. Don't give it all away at once. When you practice strategic ambiguity, people start listening more carefully to what you say because they know you're selective with your words. What you say carries more weight because you don't say everything. Remember, the goal isn't to be mysterious just for the sake of it. The goal is to stay in control of how people see you and how relationships develop. Number 2, flexible identity. You're not exactly the same with everyone you meet. You adjust how you present yourself depending on who you're dealing with. People think they know you, but really, they only know the version you've shown them. Machiavelli said, "A leader should be careful that everything he says appears to show 5 key qualities: mercy, reliability, humanity, integrity, and religion." This isn't about being fake. This is about being effective. You already do this naturally without thinking about it. You talk differently to your parents than you do to your friends. You act differently in a job interview than you do at a casual hangout. You show different sides of yourself in different settings. Flexible identity takes this natural behavior and makes it intentional. Every person you interact with has their own values, communication preferences, and ways of understanding information. If you use the exact same approach with everyone, you'll connect with some people and completely miss others. Smart people observe who they're talking to and adjust accordingly. Is this person all about facts and logic? Give them data. Are they more emotional? Connect through feelings. Are they practical? Show them real-world applications. Are they big-picture thinkers? Paint the vision. This isn't manipulation. This is effective communication. Think about water for a second. Water takes the shape of whatever container you pour it into, but it never stops being water. It's still water, whether it's in a glass, a bottle, or a lake. Your flexible identity works the same way. You adapt how you present yourself to fit the situation, but you never change your core values and beliefs. The mistake most people make is thinking they need to express themselves in exactly the same way with everyone. But being authentic doesn't mean being identical in every situation. It means staying true to who you are, while adjusting how you express it to be most effective. When you master flexible identity, you become someone who can build rapport with anyone. People feel understood when they're around you because you're speaking in a way that resonates with them. This becomes incredibly valuable in negotiations, leadership roles, and forming relationships. You're not forcing people to adjust to you. You're making it easy for them to connect with you. But here's the important part. Never adapt so much that you lose who you really are. Your values, your integrity, your fundamental principles, these should never change. Only how you present them should adapt. Strong people are like diamonds. They have multiple facets, but they're still one solid piece. Number 3, emotional independence. You're not controlled by any relationship, feeling, or what other people think. What you're not afraid to lose can't have power over you. What doesn't bind you can't be used against you. Machiavelli once said, "Since love and fear rarely exist together, if we have to choose, it's much safer to be feared than loved." Emotional independence is probably the most misunderstood idea in strategic intelligence. People think it means being cold or not caring about anything. It doesn't. It means being free. Most people are controlled by their attachments. They're scared of losing their job, so they put up with poor treatment. They're scared of losing a relationship, so they compromise what they believe in. They're scared of losing approval, so they say what people want to hear instead of what actually needs to be said. Fear of loss makes you weak. Freedom from that fear makes you strong. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care about things. It means you shouldn't be desperate about anything. Picture this scenario. 2 people are negotiating a contract. Person A desperately needs this deal. They're counting on it. They've already made plans assuming it'll happen. Person B wants the deal to work, but has other options. They're completely willing to walk away if the terms aren't fair. Who has more power in that negotiation? Obviously person B, right? Because they're not attached to one specific outcome. They can negotiate from a position of strength. Emotional independence gives you clarity. When you're not invested in being right, you can see situations more objectively. When you're not desperate for approval, you make better choices. When you're not afraid of being alone, you choose better people to be around. Here's the paradox. The less you need something, the more likely it is to come to you. Think about confident people. They're not confident because everything always works out for them. They're confident because they know they'll be fine, even if things don't work out. That's the power of emotional independence. Now, this doesn't mean being reckless or indifferent. You should still work hard for what matters and care about the people in your life. But you should never be so attached to any specific outcome that you lose your ability to think clearly and act strategically. Emotional independence also protects you from being manipulated. When someone tries to threaten you by taking away something you're not afraid to lose, their threat becomes meaningless. The most dangerous person in any room is someone with nothing to lose. But the most powerful person in any room is someone who has everything to gain and nothing to fear. Practice this gradually. Start small. Don't be so attached to winning every disagreement. Don't be so attached to everyone liking you. Don't be so attached to your plans working out exactly how you imagined. As you develop this skill, you'll notice something interesting. People start respecting you more. They sense that you can't be easily controlled, and that naturally commands respect. Remember, emotional independence isn't about not caring. It's about caring without letting that care control you. Number 4, quiet influence. You don't push directly. You wait. When people make errors and show vulnerability, your quiet presence becomes the strongest force in the room. Machiavelli said, "Nothing great was ever accomplished without taking risks." Most people think power is loud. They think it's about raising your voice, making demands, forcing your way. That's amateur thinking. Real power is quiet. Quiet influence is the skill of creating impact without saying much. It's about positioning yourself so your simple presence changes the situation. Here's how it works. Instead of telling people what to do, you create circumstances where they naturally want to do what benefits you. Instead of demanding respect, you make yourself essential. Instead of fighting for power, you make people want to give it to you. Let me break this down with real examples. In conversations, quiet influence means knowing when to pause. Most people are uncomfortable with silence, so they fill it with words. Often those words reveal more than they meant to share. When you're comfortable with silence, you control the pace of the conversation. Next time someone asks you a tough question, don't answer right away. Pause. Look at them thoughtfully. Let the silence sit there for a few seconds, then respond. Watch how it changes the impact of your answer. In negotiations, quiet influence means having backup options that you don't need to mention. When the other person senses you have alternatives, they negotiate differently. You don't have to threaten to leave. Your readiness to leave is enough. In relationships, quiet influence means being the person who adds value without demanding credit. When you consistently improve other people's lives, they naturally want to keep you around. You don't have to demand loyalty. You earn it through consistent actions. In work settings, quiet influence means becoming the person everyone turns to for answers. You don't announce that you're the problem solver. You just solve problems consistently until everyone knows they can rely on you. The key to quiet influence is patience. You're not chasing immediate results. You're building long-term impact. Most people want instant results. They want to see the payoff from their efforts right away. But quiet influence works differently. You plant seeds and wait for them to grow. You make investments and wait for returns. This requires a different mindset. You have to be comfortable with delayed rewards. You have to trust that your consistent actions will eventually create the influence you're building toward. What happens when you master quiet influence? People start asking you for advice without you offering it. They start seeking your approval without you demanding it. They start following your lead without you asking them to. You become the silent force that shapes outcomes without anyone noticing it's happening. But there's an important ethical point here. Quiet influence should never be used to manipulate people into doing things that hurt them. The goal is creating situations where everyone wins. The most ethical use of quiet influence is guiding people toward better decisions for themselves and others. You're not tricking them. You're steering them toward outcomes that serve everyone's interests. Remember, quiet influence isn't passive. You're still taking action. You're still making moves. You're just doing it quietly and strategically instead of loudly and obviously. Number 5. Psychological mirroring. You reflect people's deepest needs and concerns back to them. They think you understand their language perfectly, but really you're gaining insight and influence. Machiavelli said, "People generally judge more by their eyes than by their hands. Everyone can see, but few can truly feel. Everyone sees how you appear, but few really know who you are." Psychological mirroring is about becoming a reflection that shows people what they need to see and hear. This isn't deception. It's deep understanding and strategic communication. People don't buy products, services, or ideas. They buy solutions to their problems and fulfillment of their wants. When you can identify and reflect their real needs back to them, you become incredibly valuable. Most people fail at this because they're too focused on what they want to say instead of what the other person needs to hear. Let me explain how psychological mirroring works in practice. First, you need to become a student of people. You need to understand that everyone you meet is carrying hidden burdens, secret wants, and unspoken worries. Your job is to listen for hints about what those might be. When someone talks about their work, they're not just sharing information. They're showing you how they see themselves, what matters to them, and what concerns them. When someone talks about their relationships, they're revealing their emotional patterns and their deepest needs. Most people listen so they can respond. You need to listen so you can understand. Here's a useful framework. Every person you meet is silently asking 3 questions. Do you see me? Do you understand me? Do you value me? When you can answer yes to all 3 through your words and actions, you create a powerful connection. The psychological mirroring technique means reflecting back, not just what people say, but what they actually mean. You listen for the emotion under the words, the need behind the complaint, the fear behind the anger. For example, if someone says, "I can't stand my job," most people might jump to advice about finding a new one. But if you listen deeper, you might hear they actually feel undervalued, unchallenged, or uncertain about their future. A mirroring response might be, "Sounds like you're not feeling appreciated for what you contribute," or "Seems like you're ready for something that pushes you more." Notice the difference? Instead of jumping to solutions, you're reflecting their emotional experience. This makes people feel understood, which creates trust and influence. The key is reflecting back the positive version of what they're expressing. If someone is complaining about being overwhelmed, you might reflect their dedication and high standards. If someone is expressing frustration about a situation, you might reflect their desire for excellence. This works because people have a deep psychological need to feel understood. When you demonstrate that you truly see them, they automatically trust you more and value your input more highly. But here's where it gets really powerful. Once you understand someone's core needs and concerns, you can position your ideas, suggestions, and requests in ways that naturally appeal to them. If someone values security, you present your ideas in terms of safety and stability. If someone values recognition, you present your ideas in terms of achievement and visibility. If someone values freedom, you present your ideas in terms of independence and options. You're not changing your message. You're changing how you frame it to match their psychological profile. This is incredibly powerful in leadership, sales, parenting, and relationships. When people feel like you understand them deeply, they naturally want to work with you, follow you, and support you. The ethical way to use psychological mirroring is to genuinely care about understanding people and helping them get what they need. When you use this technique to serve others' best interests, it becomes a tool for building stronger, more meaningful relationships. Number 6, practical ethics. You're neither purely good nor purely bad. You focus on what works. Real power doesn't exist in simple black and white. Sometimes it lives in the complicated middle ground. Machiavelli said, "Since it's difficult to have both, it's safer to be feared than loved when you can't have both." This is the most controversial trait of strategic intelligence, and it gets misunderstood more than any other. So let me be crystal clear about what this means and what it doesn't mean. Practical ethics doesn't mean having no morals. It doesn't mean doing whatever you want regardless of impact. It doesn't mean hurting people to get ahead. What it means is understanding that the real world is complex. Sometimes doing the kind thing in the short term leads to worse outcomes in the long term. Sometimes being nice enables harmful behavior. Sometimes protecting people requires making decisions that aren't pleasant. Here's the truth. Having perfect moral clarity is a luxury most people can't afford when dealing with complicated situations involving real consequences. Let me give you some examples to describe this. Imagine you're leading a team and you discover that someone has been consistently lying to clients and damaging relationships. The nice thing might be to give them another chance, provide more training, and hope they improve. But what about the other team members who are working honestly? What about the clients being deceived? What about the long-term health of the organization? Someone with practical ethics might decide that protecting the many is more important than being nice to the one. They might make the difficult decision to remove that person, even though it feels harsh. This isn't cruelty. This is realistic ethics. Another example. Someone asks you for advice about a relationship you can clearly see is toxic and destructive. The kind thing might be to be supportive and avoid saying anything negative. But someone with practical ethics might decide that true kindness requires telling the difficult truth, even if it temporarily hurts the person's feelings. The key principle here is focusing on outcomes rather than appearances. Sometimes the action that looks good on the surface creates bad results. Sometimes the action that looks harsh on the surface creates better results for everyone involved. This requires different moral thinking. Instead of asking what action makes me look like a good person, you ask what action leads to the best outcomes for the most people. It also requires taking responsibility for the consequences of your decisions, even when those decisions are difficult or unpopular. But here's the crucial distinction. Practical ethics is not the same as selfishness. You're not doing whatever benefits you at others' expense. You're making realistic decisions that serve the greater good, even when those decisions are personally difficult. This trait also involves understanding that different situations require different responses. The same action that's wrong in one context might be necessary in another. For example, being completely honest might be right in a close personal relationship, but it might be counterproductive in certain professional negotiations where strategic disclosure is more effective. Someone with practical ethics understands these nuances and adapts their approach accordingly. The danger of this trait is it can be used to justify selfish or harmful behavior. That's why it's crucial to maintain clear ethical guidelines about what you will and won't do, even in complex situations. My recommendation is to establish clear boundaries for yourself. What are your non-negotiable values? What lines will you never cross? What outcomes are you willing to accept responsibility for? Within those boundaries, give yourself permission to be realistic and strategic, even when it means making decisions that others might not understand or approve of. Remember, the goal is not to be liked by everyone. The goal is to be effective and ethical in a complex world where simple answers don't always work. Number 7. Selective disclosure. You don't reveal everything about yourself. The less people know, the more they assume, and assumptions lead to errors that make your approach easier. Machiavelli said, "People are so simple-minded and so focused on their immediate needs that someone deceptive will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived." In a world where people share every detail of their lives online, selective disclosure might seem old-fashioned, but it's actually more powerful than ever. When everyone is oversharing, the person who shares strategically stands out. When everyone is broadcasting their thoughts constantly, the person who keeps some things private becomes interesting. Selective disclosure is about being intentional with your personal information. It's about understanding that not everyone needs to know everything about you, and that strategic sharing can actually strengthen your relationships and increase your influence. Let's start with the psychology behind this. Humans are naturally curious. When we encounter something incomplete or mysterious, our brains automatically try to fill in the gaps. This is called the curiosity gap, and it's one of the most powerful psychological forces in human behavior. When you practice selective disclosure, you create curiosity gaps that make people more interested in you and more attentive to what you do share. Think about the most captivating people you know. They probably don't tell you everything. They share enough to keep you engaged, but they leave you wanting to know more. This isn't accidental, it's strategic. Now, let's talk about practical applications. In professional settings, selective disclosure means being strategic about which ideas you share and when. It means not revealing all your capabilities at once. It means keeping some of your knowledge in reserve so you can provide value when it's most needed. For example, instead of showing all your skills in the first week of a new job, you might reveal them gradually over time. This creates the impression that you're continuously growing rather than someone who peaked early. In social situations, selective disclosure means not telling your entire life story to everyone you meet. It means sharing personal information gradually as relationships develop and trust is earned. This doesn't mean being secretive or dishonest. It means being selective and strategic about what you reveal and to whom. In negotiations, selective disclosure means not revealing all your priorities and limitations up front. It means keeping some information in reserve so you can use it strategically as the negotiation develops. The key principle is this: it is impossible to remove shared information. People cannot unlearn what they have learned about you, so it's better to share too little rather than too much. But selective disclosure goes beyond just withholding information. It's also about timing. The same piece of information can have completely different impacts depending on when it's revealed. But revealing the same information later when it's relevant to solving a problem makes you seem humble and helpful. Selective disclosure also involves understanding your audience. Different people need to know different things about you. Your level of sharing should match the relationship and the situation. Your closest friends should know more about you than casual acquaintances. Your business partners should know different things than your competitors. This isn't about being fake or manipulative. It's about being appropriate and strategic with your personal information. Here's another important aspect. Selective disclosure includes managing your online presence. Everything you post online, every comment you make, every photo you share becomes part of your permanent record. People will form opinions about you based on this information, often without ever meeting you. Smart people are careful about their digital impression. They understand that their internet presence is part of an overall strategy for how they want to be viewed. The goal of selective disclosure is not to be mysterious, just for fun. The goal is to maintain control over your story and your relationships. When you reveal information strategically, you can guide how people perceive you. You can emphasize the aspects of your personality and experience that are most relevant to your current goals. But here's the balance you need to maintain. You want to share enough to build genuine connections with people, but not so much that you lose your strategic advantage. The most successful people understand this balance. They're open and genuine in their relationships, but they're also strategic about how much they reveal and when they reveal it. Number 8, results-focused mindset. You're not here to win arguments or prove you're right. You're here to get results. People who focus only on outcomes never waste time on pointless games. Machiavelli said, "The promise given was necessary in the past. Breaking that word is necessary in the present." This is the characteristic that separates beginners from professionals, dreamers from achievers, and talkers from those who act. Most people get distracted by things that don't matter. They want to be right more than they want to be effective. They want to look good more than they want to get results. They want to feel good about their process more than they want to achieve their goals. A results-focused mindset cuts through all that noise. When you're results-focused, you ask different questions. Instead of, "How can I prove I'm right?" you ask, "What result am I trying to achieve?" Instead of, "How can I look good in this situation?" you ask, "What actions will lead to the outcome I want?" This shift in thinking changes everything. Let's start with arguments and disagreements. Most people approach arguments like they're trying to win a debate. They focus on proving their point, catching the other person in mistakes, and demonstrating their superior knowledge or logic. But results-focused people approach disagreements differently. They ask, "What do I actually want to achieve from this conversation?" Maybe they want to change the other person's behavior. Maybe they want to reach a compromise. Maybe they want to gather information about the other person's perspective. Once they're clear on their desired outcome, they choose their approach accordingly. Sometimes that means winning the argument, but often it means something completely different. For example, if your goal is to change someone's behavior, proving them wrong might actually backfire. People don't like being wrong, and they often become more stubborn when they feel attacked. A better approach might be helping them reach the right conclusion on their own. If your goal is to maintain a good relationship while addressing a problem, being right might be less important than finding a solution everyone can accept. This applies to every area of life. In professional settings, a results-focused mindset means concentrating on what actually moves things forward, rather than what makes you look smart or important. It means choosing projects based on their impact, rather than their visibility. It means making decisions based on data and results, rather than politics and preferences. In personal relationships, being results-focused means concentrating on the health and happiness of the relationship, rather than who's right or wrong in any particular disagreement. It means choosing your battles based on what actually matters, rather than reacting to every minor annoyance. In personal development, a results-focused mindset means measuring your progress by actual results, rather than effort or intentions. It means being honest about what's working and what isn't, even when that's uncomfortable. Here's where this gets really powerful. It helps you avoid the trap of looking busy without being productive. Many people confuse activity with achievement. They think working hard automatically leads to good results. But results-focused people understand that you can work very hard on the wrong things and get nowhere. They're constantly asking, is this activity actually moving me toward my goal? Or am I just staying busy to avoid the more difficult but more important work? This leads to what I call strategic efficiency. Results-focused people often appear to do less than others because they're selective about where they put their energy. They focus on the 20% of activities that produce 80% of the results. They're not trying to be the hardest worker. They're trying to be the most effective worker. This also applies to learning and skill development. Instead of trying to learn everything about everything, results-focused people concentrate on developing the specific skills that will have the biggest impact on their goals. They ask, what's the minimum I need to learn to achieve maximum results? This isn't about being lazy or taking shortcuts. It's about being strategic and efficient. Now, here's an important warning about being results-focused. It can become destructive if you lose sight of your values and relationships in pursuit of results. The healthiest approach is to be results-focused within ethical boundaries. Your desired outcomes should include maintaining your integrity, treating people well, and contributing positively to the world around you. When these values are built into your definition of success, a results-focused mindset becomes a powerful force for good. Another key aspect of this mindset is the willingness to change direction when something isn't working. Most people get attached to their plans and strategies, even when those plans aren't producing results. Results-focused people are attached to their goals, not their methods. If one approach isn't working, they try a different approach. If one strategy isn't effective, they develop a new strategy. They're not stubborn about how they achieve their outcomes. They're only stubborn about achieving the outcomes themselves. This flexibility makes them incredibly adaptable and resilient. When circumstances change, they adjust their approach. When new information becomes available, they update their strategy. The ultimate goal of a results-focused mindset is to become someone who consistently gets things done. Not someone who talks about getting things done. Not someone who looks like they're getting things done. Someone who actually produces results in the real world. This reputation becomes extremely valuable over time. When people know you as someone who delivers on commitments and achieves goals, they start bringing you better opportunities, better partnerships, and better challenges to solve. You've just learned the 8 traits of strategic intelligence, but knowledge without action is worthless. Pick one trait that resonated with you most. For the next 7 days, practice that trait in your daily life. Don't try to master all 8 at once. Focus on one. Notice how people respond to you differently. Notice how you feel when you approach situations with strategic thinking instead of emotional reactions. But remember what we talked about at the beginning. This power comes with responsibility. Use these insights to protect yourself, not to harm others. Use them to create better outcomes for everyone, not just yourself. The world needs more strategically intelligent people who use their knowledge ethically. People who can see through manipulation and protect themselves and others from it. People who can handle complex situations and find solutions that serve the greater good. That's the true purpose of strategic intelligence. Not to become a manipulator, but to become someone who can't be manipulated. Not to gain power over others, but to gain power over yourself and your circumstances. The most dangerous person in any room is someone with nothing to lose. But the most valuable person in any room is someone who understands human psychology and uses that understanding to make everyone's life better. Which kind of person do you choose to be? If this changed how you think about intelligence and power, hit that like button. If you want more content about psychology, strategy, and human behavior, subscribe and turn on notifications. Drop a comment and let me know. Which of these 8 traits do you see in the most successful people around you? And which one are you going to practice first? Until next time, remember, true intelligence isn't just about being smart. It's about being wise enough to use your intelligence in service of something greater than yourself. Stay strategic, stay ethical, and stay powerful.